In 1947, a church basement in Munich still smelled like ash and frozen mud. The people inside sat in heavy coats, wrapped in the bitter cold of a defeated Germany. At the front of the room stood Corrie ten Boom. She was a survivor of the Ravensbrück concentration camp, and she had just finished delivering a speech on the healing power of forgiveness. As the room emptied, a balding, heavy-set man in a gray overcoat pushed through the crowd. He stopped in front of her and thrust out his hand. Corrie recognized him immediately. He was a former SS guard from Ravensbrück, the exact camp where her sister had been starved and abused to death. And now he was asking her to forgive him. We hear constantly that forgiveness is the ultimate tool for healing, but how do you execute that choice when your own body physically rejects the concept of grace? Look at the intense focus in this photograph. Before the war, Corrie was a 52-year-old watchmaker in the Dutch city of Haarlem. Her mind was trained on mechanics, precision, and order. That order shattered in May 1940. As this photo captures, the German military swarmed the streets of the Netherlands, bringing with them a brutal set of laws aimed entirely at the Jewish population. Corrie and her family chose to resist. They built a secret 30-inch deep room behind a bedroom wall, turning their watch shop into a vital hiding place for Jewish refugees. Eventually, an informant turned them in. The Gestapo raided the house, arresting the entire family. Corrie's 84-year-old father died after just 10 days in captivity. The reality of where Corrie and her sister Betsy were sent is captured in this image from Ravensbrück. Women were stripped of their names, starved, and packed into barracks crawling with fleas behind barbed wire fences. Surviving an environment like this took a staggering amount of physical endurance. Processing the trauma it left behind required a completely different internal mechanism, which brings us back to that church basement in Munich. The former SS guard stands there, his hand hanging in the cold air. Inside, Corrie's blood turns to ice. She looks at the man who tormented her sister, and she feels absolutely no warmth, no charity, only cold, hard vengeance. Corrie realized forgiveness is a mechanical act of the will. It functions like the deliberate click of a gear, independent of the heart. She prayed for the feeling, because she had none. Then, mechanically, she forced her arm forward to take his hand. The moment their hands joined, a current started in her shoulder, raced down her arm, and flooded her body with overwhelming warmth and healing. The physical action of choice must precede the emotion. You turn the mechanism first, and the feelings follow. In the intense post-war reality, collaborators were despised. For Corrie, the hardest to forgive was Jan Vogel, the informant responsible for her family's destruction. The urge to hate him was overwhelming. She had lost her father and her sister because of his specific, malicious choices. In 1945, she wrote him a letter. She didn't sugarcoat what he did. She bluntly listed the facts. Because of his betrayal, her father and sister were dead, and she spent 10 months in a concentration camp. But in that exact same letter, she offered him absolute forgiveness and urged him to repent so he might find peace. Forgiveness demands a full accounting of the crimes committed. It means seeing the damage clearly and deciding the debt is paid anyway. Years later, Corrie faced a different kind of pain. Close friends she trusted deeply betrayed her after the war. She woke up in the middle of the night, seething with anger. She thought she had mastered forgiveness at Ravensbrück, yet here she was, furiously rehearsing her grievances. A pastor told her to picture a heavy bell in a church tower. Forgiveness is simply taking your hands off the rope. The bell doesn't stop instantly. It keeps swinging due to momentum. That residual anger is just the old emotional momentum slowing down. Corrie had saved written evidence of her friend's betrayal. To permanently let go of the rope, she took every single letter and threw them into a glowing coal grate. Forgiveness is that initial release of the rope, followed by the patience to let the emotional momentum fade. Corrie's survival at Ravensbrück hinged on an administrative fluke. In late December 1944, she was released due to a simple clerical error. 1 week later, every single woman her age remaining in the camp was executed. She walked out carrying the final realization of her sister Betsy. There is no pit so deep that God's love is not deeper still. You can see the result of that belief in this photograph. Corrie opened a rehabilitation home in the Netherlands. She designed it to heal Holocaust victims side by side with former Nazi collaborators. Radical forgiveness is an agonizing, deliberate tool of self-liberation. By making the mechanical choice to let go of the rope, you ensure that the power to break the cycle of trauma stays entirely in your own hands.